The thought of it gives a peace-loving citizen a pain in the neck. I mean it with particular reference to the English language. An average citizen today is in the position of appreciating the language but not wanting it. Even though English is a universal language, it is not boosted up properly in India. Sadly, it still remains untouched on top of the ladder. Why did this sudden transformation take over Indian society? This question arises because we are not far away from the time when people used to say, as a matter of prestige, he speaks perfect English. A bride who could write English letters and who could claim to have read the Scott and Dickens was considered fully accomplished. In the matter of employment too, a young man who could drop English letters with ease and confidence stood a better chance of being employed than one who was proficient only in the regional language. And there were people who said with a sigh, if I had only learned English, I would have conquered the world. All this may not be a very pleasant memory for anybody now. Today, we are not making use of this charming language. Often we realize its importance quite late when we face practical difficulties in our life. Here we present before you the dramatized version of 15 years written by R.K. Narayan, a famous Indo-Anglian writer on the false notions of people about English language. Let us go 50 years back and see why people demanded the abolition of English from our midst, and how the language, with its siren-like charm and lots of persistence, comes up again and again and demands for its rights. We invite your attention on the trial scene where English language is personified as a lady. We have Rekha of First BCom as our English language, assisted by Shruti of First BCom as our police inspector, Arjun Madhavkuti of 11S1 as our public prosecutor. We have Srikant of 11S1 as our honorable judge. Assisted by Krishna Nakul of 11S1. We have Sri Kumar of 11S1 as our junior advocate. And myself, Reema M of 11S1 as your very own narrator. Here we present the 15 years by R.K. Narayan.
Order, order. Let the proceedings of the court begin.
Let the convict be brought in.
I do swear in the name of God that what I shall state shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth,
Has the convict got any advocate to speak for her?
No, my lord, I will speak for myself.
You can begin your argument.
Thank you, Lord. My Lord, we are here to decide what punishment must be given to the convict who by all means has disturbed the integrity of our nation.
What have I done that you hate me so much and picture me as a traitor?
Your Highness, the convict is the language of our political oppressors. It is through her that our nation was enslaved, and it is through her that the people were divided, so that those who were masters of English could rule over the others, which wrought a cleavage in our midst.
You speak very good English.
Well, I won't be flattered by it. All of us are masters of English, and that proves nothing. She is the language of our political oppressors, and we do not want her in our midst. My lord, let her be gone.
Gone? Where shall I go?
My lord, she can go to her own country.
I am afraid. This is my country. I feel I will stay here. Whatever be in the rank that you may assign me as the first language or the 1000. the mountain tops with sovereign eye, kissing with golden face the meadows green, gliding pale streams with heavenly agony.
That is a beautiful Shakespearean passage. However, I cannot allow the court's time to be wasted in this manner.
My lord, you can see it. The convict is trying to confuse the court. She is trying to do so with her fascinating quotations.
I see that the convict has a knack of beguiling the mind with quotations. I forbid you to quote anything from the English literature.
Why are you dead set against me, sir? I have a fundamental right to know why you are throwing me out under the Indian Constitution.
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection sustained.
The Indian Constitution does not apply to her.
Why not?
Because, my lord, she, the convict, is not an Indian.
I am more Indian than you can ever be. You are probably 50, 60 or 70 years of age. But I have actually been in this land for more than 200 years.
My lord, when we said quit India, we meant it to apply to Englishmen as well as their language. And there seemed to be no point in tolerating her in our midst. The point to be noted, my lord, the convict is the language of the imperialist, the red tapist, and the diabolical legalist. She is the language which always means two things at the same time. My lord, two things at the same time.
I'm sorry, but the Parliament and the courts have a practical purpose in having a language which can convey shades of meaning and not something outright. This reminds me, have you got the criminal and civil procedure codes in the language of the country now? And have you standardized the language of the country? I remember the case of a humble author who got his English works translated in Hindi, but later had to put away the manuscripts in cold storage.
Why do you say so?
He had the translations done by a pandit who appealed to him very good, not being very proficient in the language, but the author accepted what the pandit said as being gospel truth and thought that the translations were unimpeachable. But when he showed the manuscripts to others, one set of persons condemned it of being too full of Urdu words. Not being able to decide the issue himself, the author put the manuscript out of sight. The moral of the story...
This code does not find the concern of the convict meaningful. The convict has no right to indulge herself in the internal affairs of the country. We can manage it ourselves.
My lord, again and again, the convict is trying to confuse the court. Actually, my lord, she is a conspirator against our rights. She is making us uncivilized. She is more lethal than her countrymen.
You probably picture me as a trident-bearing Rule Britannia, but actually, I am a devotee of Goddess Saraswati. I have been her most steadfast handmaid.
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection sustained.
The convict is trying to Indianize herself.
Believe me, I am an Indian and I wish to remain so. Having I dedicated my service to the nation as a linked language of media and communication, and enriched Indian economy as a language of international business. Moreover...
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection sustained.
All that has been said by the convict is mere escaping tactics. There is no truth in it. I request the court to announce its final judgment, and I request the court to do so, considering all the true facts. And the true fact is that we do not want her in our midst. That's all, Your Honor. Thank you.
Has the convict got anything else to say?
Your Honor, I have faith in this land, its people, its constitution, and of course in you. I believe in your judgment. That's all, Your Honor.
This court finds all that has been said by the convict is beside the point. Even if you come in sari with kumkum on your forehead, we are going to see that you are deported. This court can allow the convict another 15 years.
15 years? From what time, sir?
I will not allow any more discussion on the subject. I declare the court is dismissed.
This play and unravels the relevance and scope of English language today. It is still rooted deeply in the Indian soil, even though the verdict of 15 years has elapsed long ago. English is a good way of expressing ideas universally. Language as a means of communication only fosters national integrity and transfers and transmits our culture throughout the world. In the words of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, if you push English out, does Hindi fully take its place? I hope it will. I'm sure it will. But I wish to avoid the danger of one unifying factor being pushed out without another unifying factor fully taking its place. In that event, there will be a gap, a hiatus. The creation of any such gap or hiatus must be avoided at all costs. It is very vital to do so in the interest of the unity of the country. It is this that leads me to the conclusion that English is likely to have an important place in the foreseeable future. So let us, as Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru told, as a true Bharatiyan, accept English not as a foreign language but as a universal language. On this optimistic note, let us join hands